Hello everyone and welcome to Let's Talk. For those of you who join weekly, thank you. And if you're watching for the first time, I hope you enjoy this video. So please sit tight because this is going to be an interesting 3-part video series message. So before we begin, we'll just do a short recap of yesterday's video. So yesterday's video covered the first angel's message from Revelation 14. So there are a few important notes to consider when studying the first angel's message. So the first angel's message was to warn God's people to worship God and that the judgment is here. This means that in the last days, everyone will be accountable to God. Today we'll dive straight into the second angel's message. So please, if you have not already done so, please pause this video and grab a pen and paper because you don't want to miss out on this exciting message. So let's start off by reading Revelation 14 verse 8. And it says, "A second angel followed and said, 'Fallen, fallen is Babylon the Great, which made all the nations drink the maddening wine of her adulteries.'" So let's further analyze this text. So what is Babylon? First of all, why has it fallen? And so these are some important questions that we have. So in order to understand what Babylon represents, we'll have to use scripture to interpret scripture. So let's go back to Daniel and his 3 friends. So what is happening during Babylon during that time? So if we actually study the story of Daniel and his 3 friends, we see that they had created an image, and during that time they had forced everyone to worship that specific image, which was the great statue of King Nebuchadnezzar. So could this be symbolic in what's going to happen in the last days? Like, could we be forced to worship an image? From scripture, we know that we will be forced to worship an image, and this can be found in Daniel 3. So what else was happening in Babylon back then? Well, they were also eating and drinking all sorts of foods and wines and disrespecting God's holy objects, which is found in Daniel 5. So going back and reading about Babylon and what implications it had in history back then, it gives us a better understanding of what Babylon represents. So let's look at some more Bible texts to get a deeper understanding of who or what is Babylon. So let's start from Revelation 18 verse 1 to 3. And it says, "Then I saw another angel coming down from heaven. He had much power. The earth was made bright with his shining greatness. He cried out in a loud voice, 'The big and powerful city of Babylon is destroyed. Demons and every kind of unclean spirit live there. Unclean birds that are hated are there. For she gave her wine to the nations of the world. It was the wine of her desire for sex sins. The kings of the earth have done these sex sins with her. The men of the earth who buy and sell have become rich from the riches she received while living in sin.'" So that was a mouthful, but from these texts, let's try to come up with 3 different characteristics that represent Babylon. So characteristic 1 is that it enforces idol worship. And point number 2 is that they eat unclean foods. And point number 3 is that they practice sinful acts. So let's wrap up this whole second angel's message. Because we talked about Babylon, we talked about what it represents. So what implications does Babylon have and what role does it play in the second angel's message? So the second angel's message is a plea from heaven encouraging everyone to come out of Babylon so that they will not be destroyed along with it. So come out of Babylon means come out of your idol worship, come out of idolizing people, come out of dishonoring the Sabbath, come out of your sexual sins, come out of pornography, come out of all these different sexual sins or all these different sins in general, and turn your heart and mind and soul to God. So the second angel's message is important because if you don't know what Babylon represents, you can easily end up staying in it. So an important tip when understanding the second angel's message is analyze your surroundings and analyze what you fill your mind with and think about it, because you could be in Babylon now. Thank you so much for joining me today on Let's Talk, where we got a chance to explore the second angel's message. Understanding this message is extremely important, not only in the last days, but in the times that we are living now. If you have not already done so, please share this video with other people so that this message can reach more people. Thank you once again for joining me, and we'll talk tomorrow at 6 p.m. for the final part 3. Till then, have a great day.